recording, and we'll see we left off with the images. We're doing the pictures, and these pictures have been put on before runtime. How did we do that? We added them in the picture property over there, okay? And we loaded it before runtime. Now, what we really want to do is put a random set of pictures on here. And we have 8 pictures, so we have to get 8 random pictures put on. Wait, no, how many pictures do we have? We actually need to have more than 8. If I go look at the folder where our program is, let's go and see where our pictures are. So I'm going there, and these are the 8 pictures. 9 actually. Oh, 10. I've got 10 altogether. I've got 10 pictures. Now I want the program to choose 8 of those and put them in the picture component each time. But in order for me to do that, I'm going to have to change these picture names, because guess what? We're going to choose 8 different random numbers and then call up the pictures for those and put them in the actual image component. So I'm calling this pick 1, then I'm just going to rename this to pick 2, and then I'm going to rename this to pick 3. I'm just randomly renaming my picture files. Then this one I'm going to call pick 4, PRC, and you give them a different name. You can call it anything else, but you must have a number on it. 5. So the trick is to have a number, the same name, but the number at the end or at the beginning, doesn't matter where you put the number, but there must be a different number. Oh, what did I do now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Eight. I deleted a picture by mistake. I feel very sad. So now I've got to go get a 10th picture. Why do we have to have a whole lot of different pictures before a variety? We need to have that. So, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a tricky one. This is one. Let's go and get a picture quickly for the 10th picture. Okay, I'll leave it at 9, alright? I'll leave it at 9. I'll leave it at 9. And no, it actually should be 8, shouldn't it? But that's not going to make any difference. If we're dealing with, we want a random number from 1 to 9, but we want 8 different pictures. So that's the tricky part. We've got 8 picture image components here. Fine, it's easy to say, oh, let's just click on birds here. But what if we want a bigger selection to choose from? So I actually do need 10 pictures, so I'm going to go and find 10th picture on Google Chrome. Let's make it dog pictures. Alright, image files, there they are. Anyone that I know that I haven't got yet. Actually, I like this one over here. Save image as. Let's go and put it on our folder where our PAT is. Your phase 2, obviously. I'm going to call this pick 10. Fine, so now I've got it. You can rename it as a .jpg file if you want, when you put it in. Now the problem is that we have to know what our pictures are. So it would be a good idea to keep track of which ones are actually the birds. I've got 1, 2, 3 is the birds. Okay, so pick 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. 1, 2, and 3 are the birds, okay? So if I'm only going to make them pick on birds, pick 1, 2, and 3 are my birds. If each time we have to only click on birds, so in the submit button, click. In the submit, I'm going to rearrange these pictures. I'm actually going to put random 8 pictures. And I know that pick 1, 2, and 3 are my bird pictures. So if those were clicked, then we know that that was the bird pictures. But how are we going to know that that is pick 1 or pick 2 or pick 3? So we've got to also go to the image. Components are also a problem. You see, I named my image components. So we're going a complete way around here now. I'm going to change this back to IMG 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's what I'm going to do. So my image components are totally named wrong. IMG 1, IMG 2, IMG 3. I'm just going to give them names. IMG 4, IMG 5, IMG 6, IMG 7, IMG 8. Right, so I've got 8 image components. You see, the thing is, the image component holds the pictures. And what we're going to do is, in code, we're going to load pictures into those 8 image components. So, for the different random numbers. We're going to have 8 different random numbers. We're going to generate 8 different... This is very advanced programming, okay? So if you can get this right, you're good. If you don't want to take the time to get this right, well, you just won't get your extra marks. Maybe your PAT marks won't be as good as the person who did get this working, okay? I'm not saying it's optional. It's a good idea to know how to do it, and it's fun to do as well. So what we've done in the first off, before runtime, we actually did this. We did go and put pictures on each of the images. We don't know what those pictures are, do we? Well, if we go to our IMG1 and we look at our picture component, what picture is there? How are we going to tell what picture it is? Well, the code will tell us what picture it is. We can reload them. You know, we should be able to get that from the code, in code, basically. So, yeah, if I want to reload, fine. But I'm not going to reload now. In the IMG T image component, we know which ones are the birds here. You know what I mean? The on-click events. We did the on-click event. Well, we were supposed to have done on-click events to have a counter for. Yeah, there we go. We incremented the counter where the birds were. But now we have to ask ourselves if IMG birds, we're on image 1 on click event, IMG 1 dot picture equals pick 1. Then let's see if this works. I'm just trying to see if this works. That's why I put the show message here. Okay, so obviously, okay, oh yeah, iClicks, yeah, we didn't declare iClicks as an integer. Let me just go and fix the rest of my code up here first before we can go and test that. Yeah, we have to fix the rest of our code up here. We'll get to that part just now. Okay, Angry Bird, yeah, there's no such thing. There's no, that IMG Bird is not available. Okay, so it didn't like that. Didn't like this statement at all. We can't say if the picture is equal to that. How can we test what the picture is on the yeah. If we do a save to file, we can do a save. No, we're not going to do that. And we can't do load from file either because it's an image. So the thing is, how are we going to test what picture is inside the component? img1 dot does have a picture property, yeah, but you can't go and do load from file here because that's loading it from the file. We don't want to do that. Bitmap, we can say, you can use the bitmap file here, the bitmap property. There's a name path as well. We can get the name path. And that will help us to get the name of the actual picture itself. So if we get the name path, that would be a good starting point. Now we have to go and quote the path of our picture. So how are we going to get that? Well, we have to go and find the actual path, and I've got quite a very long path here to deal with. I'm an E, this one, and then grade 10, and then phase 2. Okay, so maybe I can do that. E, grade 10, and 2021, grade 10, and PAT, phase 2, grade 10, 06, 09, 21. Phase 2, grade 10, 06, 09, 21, Gr10. Can you see it's actually getting quite messy, isn't it? Uh-oh, no, my number pad's not working. Where is my button click event? Oh wait, it was the on click event because we want to only increment a counter for birds. Look, the way we had it before was fine, but we're trying to load the pictures dynamically. Yesterday somebody asked me this question, which is why we're investigating it, okay? Grade 10, 06, 09, 21. So we can say, and then the actual picture name. So this is quite a big thing. The picture name is, we're wanting it to be pick 1 or pick 2 or pick 3, not so. Pick 1 dot JPG. Have to quote the path properly. So if the image got get name path, if it's that, now hopefully my format of this path is correct. If not, obviously there's going to be a problem. We're checking image 1. Yes, Lovey? Yeah, that is true. So we can actually, there's a special code that we have to use to go and get the path of the folder. That is correct. 100% correct, my boy. There's a trick for that as well, which I can't actually share right now. But as I said, this is your advanced programming techniques, which you don't need to know for grade 10. But if you want to get those extra 4 marks, then you go and put something like this in. Okay? So I'm just assuming, yeah, we can go and get the path for each picture and check if it's the right picture, IMG bird 1, bird 2, or bird 3. And then go and increment the counter if it is that. And then for each try over here, we have to do something else. But there's a different way of doing this. There's an easier way to do this. This is obviously the tricky way, okay? I have named my files, pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, pick 4. That's fine. I know that my birds are those 3. But I am, if we want to go and do the dogs, maybe we want the person to count the number of dogs. Maybe we want them to count the number of cars. And maybe we want to count the number of people. Well, we've got birds, dogs, and cars in my case. So when they first try, they have to basically, if they don't get it right, we want them to click on the cars, and then we can go and put a counter for the cars. You know what I mean? But we're going to count the number of cars that were clicked on. So for the second try, we don't have to change the pictures around. Okay, it's not necessary to change the pictures, but this is the easier way to do it. The difficult way would to be 8 random numbers, and then go and load pictures in, and then go and find the file path name, and make sure that, if it's that picture, that's one way to get the picture. Is there another way to get the picture? Well, we'll see. I'm just putting this over here, okay? If we had another way to go and get the picture, how do we get the picture? I saw a bitmap. A bitmap property. Now, how are we going to equal that to a T bitmap thing? Maybe, just maybe, if we go to our image component and we go over here to the properties, this is how you can play around with your components and find out how they work. As you can see, I haven't actually done this before. Yes, we have the picture over there. We can't say if it's that, we can't say if that picture is such and such. And this actually requires more, what's the name on my part? I need to do a bit more research on this before I continue. So instead, I'm actually going to keep the pictures like this for now. Okay, so the easier way to handle it was to keep the pictures in their place, and then if the birds are clicked, we know that we are incrementing a counter for our birds, not so. But if the dogs are clicked, we'll increment a counter for our dogs. If the cats are clicked, we'll increment a counter for our cats. So let's just get this code away. So for all the on-click events, the easy way is to do it this way. We get counters for dogs, cats, and birds for each of these pictures. Okay? And then we're going to we get global counters. We will set them to 0, all of them. So make your global variables I cats, I birds, and I dogs, whatever your pictures are. Because this is what I'm envisaging here. When we submit and we get it wrong, we are going to then count the dogs. You know what I mean? So in order to make it so that we can then count the dogs if they didn't count the number of birds correctly, there's 3 tries, and the tries are counted themselves with the global variable called iClicks. So this iClicks is the number of clicks on this particular button, submit. So the first time they do it and they don't get birds equal to 3, then we're going to tell them to choose again, and then we tell them to click on the cars. But before that, I'm going to set everything to 0, all the counters. Our cars equal to 0. Our birds equal to 0. Okay, we're going to reset all the counters. Do I not have a counter for our cars? Okay. Our cars. Seems like I have too many counters now. So for every click, in the submit button, the first case for 1 is to click on birds, not so? Then we're going to change the label if they don't get that right. So I have to have another case for if the iClicks is 2. If iClicks is 2 the second time, and we want to count if they did actually count the number of cars correctly. So this is where I'm keeping the picture stationary. They're going to stay in their place. So this is the easier method. Also still a little bit complex, obviously, but it's a good test of logic here. Could be something like an exam paper question, maybe. So if the second chance that they take, and they're supposed to count the number of cars this time, and we know by looking over here that cars is 2, and then we'll say if I cars is not equal to 2, then we're actually going to make them count the number of, well, we decide dogs maybe, or cats. I don't know if I have any cat pictures. So let's see, there's 2 cat pictures. Okay, we'll find the cat pictures. We're going to change everything. The show message, choose, and they've got to click on the cars. Now, why am I resetting all the counters? Well, just to be on the safe side, I think it's a good idea, because we're having to reset, we're doing it all over again. Yeah, I've got 4 counters there. I'm not going to use all of them. I can get rid of the dogs, say. I don't have to have a dogs counter because I'm not testing the number of dogs, so I can delete that one. Because I'm only getting 3 options to get it right. And I've got cats, cars, and birds. So dogs I'm not going to include. I've only got 1 dog picture there, see? Cats, cars, and birds. So for each option, and then there's number 3, what's happening after 3? Well, 3, we're giving them a chance again, aren't we? So click on the cars, and now we're going to click on the click on the cats. Click on the cats. We're changing the label there each time. Copying and pasting. If I cats, then, well, we've got a bit of a problem, haven't we? We're actually going to say no, they can't. Then we're going to say that they're a bot, aren't we? We'll exit. Yeah. This is where we're going to say they're a bot and exit. Before we exit, we'll also say the caption label, you are a bot. Something to that effect. Wrong. Something about wrong or something. Please don't use my words. You've got to use a lot better language than I do. We're not going to exit, no. So if the cats are wrong as well, and there's 2 cats, that's for number 3. We're still wrong. And guess what the else is? The else will be that they are correct, not so. The else part, what is the else part going to be? Is there going to be an else? That is the question. Now the way we're going to refine this is to actually run the program and see what actually happens. So we have to know which pictures are our cats and which are our dogs. The whole point is that we have got the pictures here before runtime. Each time we click on the picture, we're going to increment a counter for that picture. So I'll double click, I'm incrementing our cats. You see that? If I double click that one, I'll increment our dogs, even though I don't actually have I'm not going to increment anything. If we click on this one, we'll increment our cars. We'll increment a counter for each picture. So you can just double click on the picture. That will give you the on-click event. So I click on the picture and I know that's birds, so I'm going to click our birds. I click on this picture, I'll increment our cats. This is if you're not going to change the pictures every time. If I click on this picture, I'll increment our birds, and that one I'll increment our dogs. Now you know that before runtime, all those counters are set to 0. So we're incrementing a counter for each picture that is clicked on. What we have to do in the submit button, because to start off, we're telling them to click on birds, okay? So in the submit button, we can increment our clicks, and if that's the first one, and birds is not equal to 3, we're going to do that. Well, in the first click, okay, of that button, we're asking the question, but what if our birds is equal to 3? What if it is? We have to have an else part here. Else. We are going to go to the next tab sheet. We'll go to TBS Math. TBS Math dot active page. PGC dot active page equals TBS Math. We'll go to the next tab sheet, or you can go to the end, or you can go to home, or you can say a message saying, well, we logged in, if you want to stop there on that one. Uh-oh. I hope I was recording this. Yeah, it was. I think so. Anyway, okay, I'm still recording. Anyway, this is really live. I'm not trying to impress anyone, thank goodness. Okay, we're just trying to get a job of work done. So what we've done so far is we've got the names of each of, we've put pictures on each of the images, okay? Okay, I call them image 1, and I know that this IMG5, if we double click it, it's incrementing birds, okay? If you double click it, it's incrementing the birds. So that's how we know which picture they clicked on. You understand? So if we're going to rearrange the pictures, that's going to be a bit tricky. We have to get the actual picture name. So we'll find a way out of that one. That's going to be a bit more advanced, like I've said. But what we have done so far is when we double click on the pictures, we're incrementing counters for cats or birds or cars. Then when we click the submit button, we're incrementing a counter for the number of clicks that we're clicking on. And if it's the first time we're clicking on submit and birds is equal to 3, then we go to the next page, TBS math. But if our birds is not equal to 3, we're going to tell the user they've got to go now and click on cars. They've got to click on all the cars. And we should say all of the car pictures, or pictures that contain cars in, or something like that. Maybe we'll tell them to choose again, but we're going to set our counters to 0. So if this is the first time we click the button submit and we still didn't get our birds equal to 3, then we'll do that. But if we did get our birds equal to 2, this else part will happen of that if statement. We will go into the next active page on the page control. At this point, you can also say show message, now we're going to do this, you know what I mean? You can do that also. So you can have begin and end here and do 2 things when you go to the next tab sheet. Now, we've clicked on the button once. What if we go and click on the cars next? Okay, then the counter is 2 clicks. And if we counted the number of cars and they're not equal to 2, we're going to tell them they must go and choose cats now. But if it is equal to 2, we've got to put an else here. We're going to say pgc.activePage colon equals TBS math, which is the next one, the next tab sheet that we will deal with. Okay. So, if the counter for the number of clicks of this button, if it's 1, and we check if the birds are 3, if they are, they'll go to TBS math. But if they're not, well, everything is going to be chosen again. We're resetting all our counters. We're telling them in the label there, over here, we're changing that label, telling them to click on cars. So then they click on cars, and if our cars is not equal to 2, then we're telling them to choose again. Otherwise, we'll go to the next page. But this time they choose again, they're going to click on cats. So the label up top here is going to be cats, and then the same process will happen. But if it's not equal to 2, we'll show they're a bot, else we will go to the next page. And that's it. We don't need an else over here. All of that stuff is not required, because we will then be at the end of our case structure. This part here, this is the 3 begin and end, and this is the end of case. And this is the end of the procedure. Now, that other part, the section where we can actually go and change all the pictures, that's going to be a lot more complex. This is also quite complex, so it's good code to use. Obviously use your own pictures and your own numbering, and how many cats you want, or how many of your pictures you want. This third option, if they still get the number of cats wrong, then we can say that they're a bot, and otherwise we'll go to the next page if they get it right. So that's that. And that's